Welcome to the Public Voice Salon. We are an open dialogue on culture and ideas with a particular focus on education. And I'm wearing a mask today because this is our first show that we've made during the pandemic. And we're trying to observe the science, okay, on that. But gradually, because we're outside, eventually we'll be able to take the masks off so we have a dialogue here. The subject of today's program is On the Waterfront, the great Hollywood movie from 1954 starring Marlon Brando and Ava Marie Saint. But what we're doing today is we're going to talk about the stories behind the story, okay? We have with us Tony Mike Jr., whose father, Tony Mike DiVincenzo Sr., was the inspiration for the Terry Malloy character played by Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront, all right? And we have true stories from Tony. We also have our friend Craig Dudley, an actor who lives in Hoboken and who absolutely loves the movie On the Waterfront, and he loves to spend time in this park just to imbibe that historical aspect that the film was actually shot here, okay? We have some artifacts with us, in particular this hook, which was used in a very pivotal scene in On the Waterfront. This was Tony Mike's father's hook, actual hook, but this was in the movie itself, okay? This is an historical artifact. But here he is, without further ado, the son of the man who inspired a character in a film which our friend Foster Hirsch, who's a film critic, says this: it is the most important American movie of the 20th century. And when I asked him why, he said because it's about the birth of moral consciousness. It's about a man who's struggling to do the right thing, okay? Mm-hmm. He's got the mob on his back. He knows who murdered this poor guy, who was a brother of Eva Marie Saint character who he was falling in love with, and all those complexities. We're going to get into that with our dialogue here, but starting with the man whose father inspired that character. Tony Mike.
Hello.
Introduce yourself to America and tell us a little bit about your father and how he got involved with this movie On the Waterfront. What kind of man was your father?
Well, he was a great man. That he cared for a lot of people, especially the workers that were on the piers. And he had a deep heart for them. And
he was a longshoreman, right?
He was a longshoreman at the time.
Okay.
Then I believe he turned to what? I can't get the name, but he was the head of the pier.
He was the head of the union?
At the head of the pier.
Of the pier, okay.
He would tell the men how to do it, where to go, how to work, and so forth and so on.
Okay.
I'll get the name of it, but I just can't off my head.
Yes.
But he was a great fella. He loved the fellas that worked with him, and he was very interested in them. Of all the raw deals that they got.
Yes.
From the mob.
From the mob. The mob was really controlling the piers?
They controlled all the piers in Hoboken and Jersey City.
They basically said who could work and who couldn't work.
And for the price.
Okay.
It was the price. If they made $25 a day, they had to kick back 10 or 15. That was no way for an American family to live. And my father fought them, tooth and nail.
Ooh.
And he did it.
Wow.
He did it.
Was that dangerous of your father?
It was very dangerous for him. They were all after him at the time, and I could prove it.
What were the police protecting your father?
Oh, sure. I have pictures of him.
Okay.
That he was guarded. All of us were guarded. Like I say, I was always with my father. From going to New York on paper stand, coming back. And
tell us about the paper stand.
Oh, my father had a paper stand on Cortlandt Street.
On Cortlandt Street in Manhattan, he sold newspapers.
Newspapers, yes. New York Times, World Telegram.
Okay.
So forth. And we had it nice. He used to get me out of school at 2:30. And we used to get through the Holland Tunnel. 15 minutes, boom, we were there until 6 o'clock, 6:30. That was the last ferry that went out.
What was Hoboken like in those days, Tony, and how is it different now?
Well, as far as I remember,
yes.
I always brought up as a child, I was always I always tend to love Hoboken.
Yes.
Because like I said before, my father took me all over.
Okay.
And I've got to know in Hoboken a lot. And the people also. And which they respected us highly.
I see.
Very much. They loved my father. They would do anything for my father.
Okay. Didn't your father get involved in politics at one time? And
he ran for councilman for the 3rd Ward.
Ooh.
He lost by a couple of hundred votes.
That was all. Okay.
Which was nothing. That was okay.
Sure.
But he had Steve Cappiello, which was the mayor. He was the boss, and I guess, you know.
Yeah. Oh, he ran against Cappiello.
No, he ran against one of Cappiello's 3rd Ward man.
Oh, I got you.
I don't know his name. I forget his name.
I got you.
But he lost. Dad lost.
I got you.
He put everything into it.
Okay. Okay.
But it wasn't the turnout we would have liked. But he lived with it, and he died by it too.
Let's turn over to our friend, the actor Craig Dudley, a little bit to get some of his thoughts about the movie On the Waterfront and his relationship with that movie and with this park. Craig, tell us a little bit about your thoughts about this movie and about meeting Tony Mike Jr. and what are you thinking right now?
Well, first of all,
yes.
You have to realize I was 9 years old when this film came out. And so it only gave me at the time as a story.
Right.
As a child, still 9 years old, I just saw it as a beginning, a middle, and an end, without any political, you know,
involvement.
Anything that was put into this film that I should have known. However, as time moved on, what this film did for me, it introduced me, ironically, even though it was not declared film noir, it is film noir. And then when you realize Elia Kazan, who directed it, who was really a promoter of film noir.
That he was.
He did a lot of film noir. So this movie is really indicative of that format. And so I started to really get into film noir as a result of On the Waterfront. It is a very interesting film, because I felt, as time went on and I kept seeing it, it became a study in consciousness. It was. And Brando's performance in this was terribly influential for many, many actors to come to a period, up to a period. He really did. He even passed James Dean, who was on that same kind of quirkiness of acting. And but it was so interesting enough that it just drew a lot of people to him, in particular that film. I do love the film. It's amazing that being here, right here in front of this pole, is where 2 scenes were shot.
Yes, sir.
With Eva Marie Saint and Marlon Brando. And then it went all the way down to the end with Karl Malden. He walked down there to the end, and that's where Brando went down into the dock area to meet Eva Marie Saint.
Yes.
For me, it does have a sort of an influential thing even now. Just you feel the vibe of these people, in particular these actors, the role they play. Somewhat you almost see them still walking by.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Still being shot. And what also is amazing, that the scene really begins at the Church Street Park, where the church is there.
Yes.
They're coming out of the church, walking across the street, and then continuing here, up through the end there, walking. It was better to have done that than to have shot it in that park. This park is really extraordinary. For me, it is. I love it. I come here. I read scripts. I read plays, books. I meditate. It's an extraordinary feeling just even being here. And it definitely was a great film. It deserved all the awards that it ever got. And it's really a great honor to be here with you, who is the legacy of what this film was all about.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Craig. That was well put. Very well put, Craig.
Very good.
And I think at this point I could remove my mask a little bit, because we're outside here. And I wanted to ask you, Tony, well, first I want to tell the world how Tony and I met, which was amazing. One day I'm standing on the corner at 12th and Washington Street waiting for a bus, and Tony's looking at me on the sidewalk. He's like, hey, you look familiar, like I know you from around town, or I know you, and we just started talking. A stranger became a friend.
Yes.
And then I found out this incredible richness of history, that here's a movie that I've always loved, you know, and now to meet the man whose father played a key role in inspiring the performance of Marlon Brando. But let's go into that a little bit, Tony, because there's been controversy about that. There are some people who detract and say, you know, well, maybe the Brando character was based on somebody else or from New York, or how much of that role was your father's influence? And talk a little more about that.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by he played the part of my father.
He played the part.
100%.
100% your father.
100% of my father.
Okay. Did Brando come over your house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He was up the house.
Talk about that. When
he was
came
up
over.
the house. Carl Malden was up the house.
Oh.
Even Marie Saint was not up the house.
Okay. Where was the house, Tony?
On 5th Street.
Okay.
Between Adam and Jefferson. 457 5th Street. It's still standing.
Okay.
And we lived on the top floor. And Eli Kazan was also there too.
Came over.
Oh yeah.
Did you have family dinners?
Yes, we had my mother had a small apartment, but she cooked the spaghetti and meatballs for them, which they never had before.
They never had the spaghetti and meatballs
No,
before?
Carl Malden, I don't believe. And one of them had says we never had spaghetti and meatballs. That I remember.
Okay.
That I remember very well.
I never had it.
You never.
There you go.
I'll be at your place.
You're
We're coming over for dinner, Tony. You know.
Wow. For me, it was a beautiful time at my age.
Yes.
To see my father do what he had to do, and I complimented him all over. We all did. The whole family stuck by him, and other people, other friends, and I think that's what gave my father that drive.
Yes.
To keep pushing for these fellas.
Yes.
Which no more than right.
Right.
And that was it. He
Correct.
fought for them, and he won by them.
He fought for the Union guys.
He fought for them all.
For the Union guys. Now, at this point, Claudia, I want you to turn the camera and point it over there at the Maxwell Place Apartments, because this used to be a coffee factory.
Maxwell House Coffee.
This was the largest coffee factory in the world at one time.
Exactly.
You could actually smell coffee on the streets of Hoboken, especially on a rainy day, okay?
Yeah.
So just to show you that America once was a union country, the working class had a decent living, okay, back in the 50s and when this film was made, okay? Since then, the union membership has gone down and down and down. But we're talking to a man.
Thanks to Terry Malloy.
But the Terry Malloy characters were wonderful because they stood up for what was right.
That's right.
And we need that in America today, wouldn't
Exactly
you say?
right.
People need to speak the truth and come out and not be afraid and speak truth to power. Did you and your father and Marlon Brando have conversations?
Oh, many a time.
What was that like? Did you see them talking?
Oh, no, I haven't heard the conversation
But
with
you
them.
knew about that. Okay.
He liked my father.
He liked your father?
To tell you the truth, he respected my father for what he did all them years.
Okay.
And he did talk to my father about, I guess, certain things.
Yes.
As far as the men were concerned.
Okay.
The job and so forth and so on.
Okay.
I think he schooled him a little bit about how the docks were run.
Okay.
And the men how they were controlled. Controlled.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
And he just...
Okay.
My father just fought and he fought and he fought.
Yes.
That was it. That was the base of the story.
He had that determination. He wasn't going to give up.
Wasn't going to give up to the higher uppies, and I think you know who they are.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention any names, but you know who I'm talking about. People might know too, but I'm not going to bring it up.
You don't want to name any names.
I don't want to name any names.
You don't want to name any names.
I'm sorry. But
yeah.
They're all dead by now.
Okay.
But they didn't do Hoboken any justice as far as the men are concerned.
Yes. Let's talk about this hook. This is the famous hook that was in
That's
the movie.
The hook.
Hold that hook and
this the hook
tell our audience about the hook.
Well, this is the hook that, let me see, Lee J. Cobb came out of that, oh boy.
I was over there.
You know.
That
little hut that he had with all the guys.
Okay. Lee J. Cobb played the boss, the mob boss.
was the boss.
Okay.
When Marlon Brando walked down that walk to talk to him, they had a little discussion about, I have to mention this, that they were calling him, he was a rat.
A rat.
My father.
They called your father a rat.
He ratted out on him.
Okay.
Which was true.
Okay.
He did.
Okay.
But he did it for a specific reason.
Right.
for the men.
Right.
He didn't do it for him. He didn't do it for you. He didn't do it for. He did it for the men.
But the other part of that story, Tony, there was a love story involved with Eva Marie Saint, right?
And Marlon Brando.
And also you had the priest Carl Malden. These were all influences on the Terry Malloy character.
Yes.
What about your father in terms of his other influences, spiritual or love?
Well, I don't think my father ever fooled around, if that's what you mean.
No, I didn't mean that. He was faithful, but your mother had a good influence with him in terms of...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
They got along great.
Okay.
They got along great.
Okay.
My father always took care of the family.
Okay.
How much of the film did you watch? Did you sit on a lot of the filming?
Most of them. The parks. Mostly the parks. How they change so fast. From one to the other.
All of a sudden they're in Church Square, then they're here.
Then they went to 4th Street.
Yeah.
And so, but like you pointed out before, it was an interesting movie. It had substance. It had that I don't know how you would call it, but it had that story that you just had to hear and see. Feelings for them poor men.
Yes. Can I tell you a story about my father?
No, did you?
Listen to this story.
Oh, yes,
now.
you could talk.
It's related to the movie, okay? My father, Jack Braden, was an activist, is still an activist. He's 80 years old.
God bless him.
Okay. He was also, as a young man, an actor. But he gave up the acting on the stage when he got married because he wanted to do the right thing, be a good family man, okay?
Yes.
To this day, when I say to my father about when he talks about his younger acting days, you know what he says? I could have been a contender.
Could have been a contender.
I could have been a contender.
That's
right? One of the most famous lines
the most famous
in the history
lines.
of cinema.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
I could have been a contender.
You got it.
Oh, my goodness.
He was saying that in the car to his brother.
He said that in the car, in the back seat of the car.
Yep.
And I think what that means to anybody who hears that is that you got to go for your dreams, to be a contender.
And fulfill them.
And I said, now my father became an activist, Tony, and you know what he did? He saved the New Jersey Palisades. The developers wanted to develop and put condos up there, the beautiful green trees that you see that's called the Palisades, going from Edgewater all the way up to Alpine, beautiful. They wanted to rip up those woods, and my father went to the council meeting, and he said, no, not too fast, you're gonna, and he researched the law, he fought for it.
Good man.
I said, Dad, you are a contender.
Good
I said,
man. He is
like
a
your
contender.
father
That's
was a
right.
contender,
He did.
okay?
He fulfilled his wish.
And I want to look into the camera and say this right now. We all have to be contenders in America today, to stand up for justice, to stand up for truth, okay? And to really, not to bring politics in too directly, but if you look around the world, you see the rise of dictatorships, and unless we fight for truth and honesty and say what's right, we're going to lose our country, we're going to lose our democracy. And guys like your father were really people we can learn from today, and still from watching this movie, we could learn from watching this movie.
Well, you're 100% right. Politics did ruin it.
It did.
They ruined it. Politicians
in what
ruined
way?
this whole country.
Did they? Okay.
Oh, money-wise.
Okay. The money controls the politics.
The money controls. That's it. You know, the power.
Right.
So you got them two combinations.
Right.
You got it made. Nobody stops you or tries to. They're going to get away with it.
What can you tell our audience about being brave, like your father was strong, and he wasn't afraid to express himself and speak truth to power, and go to that meeting and speak out against the mob, even though it put his life in jeopardy?
Yeah.
How did he get that courage and that strength?
Geez, I don't know, but he was born with it, I guess. He was born with it. If he's seen anything crooked, he'd be right there.
Okay.
If he knew that you were getting tossed around and not doing the right thing as far as like I say, they controlled everything. They controlled everybody. It wasn't right. The money was there. They made it, but the workers got the shaft, and that's what he fought for. That's all I could say about what happened to him, because he fought a good fight.
Okay.
And he proved it. That picture won, I think, about 8 to 12 Academy Awards.
It certainly did.
That meant something.
But But then your father sued Columbia Pictures because they didn't give him credit.
$86,000.
They didn't give him credit. Is that tell the story about that, Tony?
Oh Jesus, I don't know where to start
what happened?
from, but
they didn't give him credit, right?
they gave him no credit at all. But he got $86,000.
He sued Columbia and he won.
He won. Hands down, he won. He fought a good fight, but he won. He won.
Wow, wow.
And nobody helped him.
Nobody?
Nobody helped him.
Really?
Outside of the lawyer. The two lawyers, actually.
Were they after him? Was the mob after your father after he did that? And how did that change your life?
Many times. We were guarded almost 24 hours a day.
The police were protecting
in my
you?
house. Oh yeah, definitely. In the cars, as you can see with the pictures, you'll see them in a minute. And that, like I say, we used to go to the paper stand every afternoon, 2:30 to 6:30. And I think one time my father, they did shoot the car. My father had a 53 Caddy.
They shot the car?
They shot in the back of the car.
Ooh.
The window, the whole back window.
Oh.
My father got my head, he put my head down. He didn't pursue it, he didn't go after him, but slowed down. I remember that like it was yesterday. And that was it, we went on our business. But never heard anything against that.
Were you ever chased by the Mafia, Craig?
I wouldn't mind it. I'm not being chased by anything at the moment.
You're not being chased by anybody
at the moment. I just want to ask you. At this period of this film being made, and I'm sure you're aware of it, and your father was, that Ella Kazan had been brought to the House on Un-American Activities the year before this film was being made, and
the year before, that was 53.
To the House on Un-American Activities, and many thought that the film, because most directors have a hidden agenda, and when I'm working with directors itself, even when a director comes to me and always I want to know what you want to bring into this thing, I always know that they have something underneath the rug that they're going to shove in. They want to paste it onto yours. And I felt as time went on with the Kazan film, and it's still a great film, it touches realism that no other film did. Even though that a lot of his other films almost had this kind of format, but this was like explosive. And I felt it was almost a justification for himself. The fact of speaking up, which he did, and it cost him a lot. Even though that he still stayed in the business, he was really shunned by the motion picture industry. If you remember when the Thalberg Award was given to him, in the end, hundreds of actors left the auditorium to it. And he's tried to explain that. I think he really made this movie to expound on why I did it. I am a person that speaks up against corruption. He felt communism was wrong.
Yes, definitely.
But I think his mistake was that he should not have maybe brought up certain names. And don't forget, people were threatened then by that. McCarthy had nothing to do with the theater, with the film industry.
No.
People think McCarthy did this. He did. The House on Un-American Activities is the one that went after Hollywood. McCarthy never went after anyone in the theater. He went after politics, after politicians. But it's extraordinary to see so many of these dimensions in this film. I see Ella Kazan so much in this movie. He really put his heart and soul. He put himself in that movie.
Did.
And he is part of your father.
He definitely is.
And I think that's why he did it.
He loved my father, and he loved my.
No kidding.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's sorry. I mean, I'm sorry that you did not get credit. And I'm telling you, a lot of people in the business, I always felt for years, and I kind of fought for it in many ways, even in the theater. People give uncredited to actors. If you're in a film, be credited. Now they do it. If you have a walk-on, you get a credit.
You get a credit.
It may be small, but it's there.
It's there.
And I think it's very unfair that any contribution to any film should be noted in a film. It should be noted in a play. It should be noted everywhere. And that we're talking about a main contribution. This is the sum and substance. But I think it really became so much Ella Kazan fighting for a justification for why he did what he did.
You're right.
And I think him
and my father made a good pair.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
They made a good pair.
How did they actually meet? How did Eli Kazan and your father meet? How did that?
I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I. All I know is that I remember him up the house one day.
Up the house.
Him
Okay.
And, it was Bert Schuberg.
Right. Bud Schulberg came over the house too, the writer of the movie.
Great man. Great man.
Okay.
And I don't know, it clicked with them and bingo.
Just clicked.
Just clicked.
Just like we clicked.
Yes.
On the sidewalk.
Yes.
And here we are with Craig. We're having this conversation.
You're a fine gentleman. You are.
So at that time, how old were you? I was 9 years old.
5 years old.
You were 5. Okay.
Sunday I'll be 76 years old.
Well, don't brag about it.
Happy birthday. Hey, all right.
So,
but yeah.
But I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that up about Eli Kazan and the closeness with my
became
father.
a very
Because
personal
it was a
thing.
very exactly personal with the two.
But the amazing thing is that he took this personal thing and created all of these images all over the place. I mean, there's so much in this movie that, I mean, even the filming of that movie is indicative of the characters, place, time,
everything.
One person said, "Well, it should have been in color." Oh dear! If you had put
that would have ruined it.
that movie would have been a bomb.
Exactly. Thank you.
It would have been a bomb. This movie was indicative to black and white. It was film noir at its highest peak, because he was a master of that.
Definitely.
Prior to that, and I had known that at the time.
Did you know him personally?
No, it's interesting you said it. You won't believe this. I auditioned for, not auditioned for him, I had an interview with him.
Ooh.
At the time. He was planning to do King Lear with Richard Burton.
King Lear, right.
Richard was going to, and he was going to do it. I knew inside, for the years of working in the theater, and I mean, the classics have been my forte, I really felt that Eli Kazan was wrong. And I mentioned it to Philip Burton personally myself. I just didn't think he was the right person to do this. He was brilliant at anything else, but at more contemporary American stuff he was great at. But okay, he was a name, he was big, but I have to tell you, the things that he told me that he was planning to do with this King Lear, which I related back to Philip Burton, and he mentioned it to Richard. And it was cancelled. It was stopped.
Stopped.
And I don't know whether I contributed to the fact that, because Richard really wanted to do King Lear. That was one of his last great things he wanted to do.
Yes.
But I think under those conditions, and the irony is the way he had that eye in film noir, he would have created a great King Lear, but. It's other things that are needed, other ingredients that he just could not bring to it, that he wanted to change drastically. And you can't do that. And text, that he wanted to change text, I think that really knocked Richard out. I think he said, no way, I can't do that.
Now I want to ask if I'm allowed to talk now.
Wow.
Can I talk now? It is my show.
No, you can't.
It is my show.
Of course.
It is.
When I invited Craig, now we love Craig Dudley. Craig always has so many wonderful things to say. I said, boy, if I bring Craig in, I'm never going to get a chance to say a word, because he always has so many things
that's ready.
to say.
Who are you?
I could have been a contender.
I could have been a contender.
But the fact is, Joe, you are a contender.
Thank you.
Yes, he is.
He is a contender.
Yes.
See, his father made the mistake.
Yeah, well,
His father should have stayed being an actor, He should have done it,
It's hard to second guess, because, he did what he felt was right.
But you're doing
right.
what he kind of pulled away from. And that, I think, was and you do it well.
Oh, thank you. He's a great guy, isn't he wonderful? We'll keep him around.
First time I met him, I liked
Isn't
him.
he?
Very interesting.
He could have been a contender.
Very interesting.
I am.
He is a contender.
No, I was a contender. I really was a contender. And I always remember that line, even at 9 years old.
Unbelievable.
It
Wait a
resonated.
minute. I want to tell the world something right now. Craig Dudley had an audition for a movie part that Al Pacino got, but he would have been a better star, okay? It was a movie called Cruising.
Cruising.
It was a very famous 1979 movie with Al Pacino. Craig went out to California. He got the audition, okay? I think, and you say that too, not to go too far into it because we're sticking with On the Waterfront, but this man should have had that part.
Pacino got it.
He got it over Craig.
Well, what happened actually to it very quickly, I don't want to do it, is that it went into several incarnations. Two directors dropped out. The original director, who I went to California with on this thing, was actually going to do the book, which was written by Gerald Walker, who I think wrote for the New York Times. And the book was brilliant. The book was wonderful. And then they went into another director, and then it ended up in the third director, and they really distorted the thing by creating these stereotypical gay aspects, which why the gay community revolted against it, because it was constantly that. That's not all what the book was about.
Exactly.
And they sensationalized it, and that's it. But now I want to let John talk.
Craig, I still say his best work is yet to come, this man.
Very good.
He's going to win
Wish
an
him a lot of
Academy
luck.
Award.
Wish him a lot of luck.
He's going to win a Tony Award.
Well,
next year.
I've done some great work, and I'm glad for what I've done in the theater, and I don't regret anything. The film industry seemed to pass me by. I was in a couple of films. I made one film years ago, and television.
Sticks and Stones.
But I
it was called Sticks and Stones.
But I preferred the theater. I mean, it's my choice.
Yes, it is.
And so
right.
I'm not telling myself. Some of my friends say, "Oh God, I wish I had done this. I wish I had." Why do you wish? Look at the bevy of your work. Like, look what you've done.
Take it from there, right?
And that's where I take it from.
Well, this is why I want to just segue back to this with Brando, because Brando was a classically trained dramatic actor who studied at the New School, the dramatic workshop. He had that acting chops. He had that theater background. But then he went into movies and he did his thing, and maybe certain movies were more commercial than others. But if you look at the great works, and this is why Craig is important in this dialogue, one of his greatest films was A Streetcar Named Desire, which was written by a very close friend of Craig, Tennessee Williams.
Wonderful.
Craig and Tennessee were very close, and here is a Marlon Brando in this dramatic film. So I would say, you say Marlon Brando, three biggest dramatic roles: Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront, and The Godfather. And The Godfather. Now, he wins the Academy Award for The Godfather. What does he do? Does he go and collect the award himself? No. He refuses the award.
He did.
He has an American Indian woman, a Native American woman, Sachin Little Feather, go up there.
Was that his wife?
No, it wasn't his wife.
Okay.
It was a woman that he wanted to make a statement, okay? Just like your father spoke out, Brando spoke out through this gesture of having this Native American woman speak out against the American oppression of the indigenous people in this country. So for me, Marlon Brando was an activist, okay? He had that activist spirit that your father had, that my father has, okay? But I do want to mention one other person in this dialogue here, because his name was Tony Amato.
Oh yeah, sure.
Anthony Amato, was a Hoboken guy. He was a real character from town. He was a boxer.
He was.
He was a very good boxer.
Yes, he was.
You know something? He drove me to my first acting audition. And I say that because Tony Amato was also involved with On the Waterfront. He was an extra. They used a lot of local guys.
They did.
They would have in the movie, in the shape-up scene and stuff like that. So Tony was in those scenes, but Tony was a real schmoozer. He was a good talker, and he wound up getting in good with Marlon Brando.
Yes.
And he showed him a few boxing moves. Here's what you do when they're filming it. It's going to be more realistic because Tony was a boxer. Okay. Tony went on to a career in Hollywood. He was a stuntman. He was in the French Connection. He was doing the stunts on the great. He was in Donnie Brasco. Al Pacino movie. He had a small part, but he played the Godfather in that movie. He was Burt Reynolds' private bodyguard for 8 years.
No kidding.
Did you know that?
Didn't know that.
8
Did not know
years.
that.
This guy was an incredible, like a heroic figure.
Yes.
He saved the life of a baby. When Frank Sinatra's home went on fire, Frank Sinatra, where he grew up on Monroe Street, when his house burned down, years after Sinatra had left, there was a fire, and Tony was on the scene, and a child jumped out the window. Tony caught the child. This was a guy, you couldn't make this stuff up, okay? I was with a friend of mine named Vito. This was back around 1999, and we wanted to get into the movies. So we were going on an acting audition, and we couldn't make it because Vito's car broke down. What are we going to do? Well, Tony Amato was visiting Vito's father. They were good friends. Hey, Tony said, come on, get in the car. Get in the car. So we get in the car. Tony is driving like a maniac, because he was in the French Connection. He was a stuntman, you know, taking turns on two wheels, you know. I didn't get the part, but I was happy to be alive.
Right.
Because that was my Tony Amato story. But
is he still alive?
He's gone. I think he died about 10 years ago.
His son is alive.
Do you remember when these characters were around Hoboken?
Of course.
It's not like that anymore.
No.
Now it's
they were a good time.
He was a boxer, you said.
He was a boxer, Tony.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the film, the Malloy part, he is a fighter. That's why he uses the word contender. That he has to throw a fight.
Correct.
Right? He throws a fight.
Yes.
Supposedly he throws.
Okay, but he fails being. He could have been great. I think that when people hear that word, I could have been a contender, is the fact that I could have been way at the top of the chart of a fighter. Instead, I gave in to the rabble, which he does. Yeah, so I wonder if there was any influence there between Tony Amato and why they put that aspect into the film.
That's interesting too. I don't know. I mean, there's so many stories. That's why we're going to call this show.
Well, I know one fellow that was.
Go ahead.
What was his name? That he taught Brando how to.
Yes.
Throw the pitch. Fight.
Okay.
Oh, what was his name? Oh. I can't get his name.
From town, a local guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very
Hey, what about the kid up on the roof with the pigeons?
Oh, that was,
Tommy...
Irish fella.
Tommy Hanley. Tommy Hanley.
And the other boy, I don't know his name.
Okay.
Is that roof still here?
It's shame. Hey, God, it's gone. Shame that kid never fulfilled his...
I'm going to tell you a story about Tommy Hanley. My ex-wife's mother, Tina Valerio, she went to school with Tommy Hanley. Yep. They were classmates, okay? And here's another story about Tommy Hanley. He was only in 2 movies his entire life.
Okay.
He was in On the Waterfront. Then he went back to dock. He was a dock worker, basically, his whole life, okay? About 5 or 6 years ago, a friend of ours named John Bale is a playwright, and he got into movies. He made his first movie called Hunting Season.
Okay.
He cast Tommy Hanley in that movie.
Okay.
That was it's called Hunting Season. It's an independent film, okay? Do you know who he asked first before Tommy Hanley? He asked my father.
No kidding.
He said, Jack, I want you to be in this movie. I got a part perfect for it. So I said to my father, you could have been a contender. You could have been a contender, you know, like that.
Them words will never leave you.
But them words.
He turned it down.
My father turned it down, but Tommy Hanley got the part. He grabbed it.
Is he still around, Tommy?
He's around. I think he's in Bayonne or
Tommy, I
down
remember
the shore or something.
After that picture, he drove a taxi cab.
He drove a taxi cab too? Okay. Now, Tommy's brother used to be at the Elks Club. I used to know Tommy's brother was a tough guy. He would sit at the bar at the Elks, you know, and because I got involved with the Elks Club too.
I remember them.
Got to know a lot of people in town.
Good people.
You don't live in Hoboken anymore, do you, Tony?
No, I live in North Bergen.
North Bergen. Do you miss it? Do you miss Hoboken? Do you miss the town? Do you miss the old days?
I miss the old days,
but
I don't miss Hoboken as much.
It's changed a lot, right?
Most.
What's the biggest change to you in Hoboken?
Wow, God.
What do you think?
Well, number one, the piers are gone.
The piers are gone. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Obviously, Maxwell House is gone.
It's now nice condos.
That was a hell of a monument.
It wouldn't be mine to live there, though. Look at that.
And yet, it employed a lot of people.
It did. Put a lot of people to work.
A lot of people to work, boy.
Why was it torn down? I mean, we still have Maxwell House Coffee. Why would it go?
I really don't know. I really don't know.
They outsourced the cheap labor to other countries, and you know.
Well,
yeah.
I think it came into politics a lot. You know what I'm trying to say?
Tony,
they knew where the money was. They knew how many people in there and what they're paying.
What would this hook go for at an auction?
Oh, I don't know.
Did anybody want to?
What's his name? Your buddy.
Bob Foster.
Bob Foster.
At the Hoboken Museum.
Bob Foster.
He wanted this, right?
He wanted that. He wanted the book. He wanted a lot of things.
No, that was given to your father.
This was your father, given to your father.
By
it was
whom?
In the movie.
Was it the prop master said take it?
Who gave it to your
father?
Or
was it the director?
When they gave the plaque to him at Hoboken High, it was the mayor.
Okay.
Kazan.
Okay. Kazan was there. Elia Kazan.
He gave it to my father.
Okay.
And who else? I don't. Because you know why? Strange thing. My mother asked for it.
Yeah, your mother wanted it.
My mother asked for it. Believe it or not. When they presented him with the plaque, it was a gift from my mother, and they gave it to him. Boy, I wish he was here today.
Yeah.
I wish he was. He was a wonderful.
She asked for the
He
hook.
was a wonderful man.
Your mother asked for the hook?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Never forget that time.
What,
The
baby?
whistle.
I'm sorry, baby?
Tony also has the whistle.
The whistle. Oh, show the whistle.
Oh, the whistle.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
I-
amazing. Okay.
I showed him the whistle.
The camera, though.
No, we didn't.
For the show.
Oh boy, where'd it
yeah,
go now?
where's that whistle, Tony?
Maybe in the back.
Is it in the bag?
Oh no, I got it. Here they are. Everybody works.
Everybody works.
This is it.
That's the famous whistle.
This is
from
Tony
Michael
Mike's whistle.
Woo!
I tell you, if I had known that and I went back and you did that, I would have walked right through the screen. I would have gotten up out of my seat and I said, let's go to work.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
How did you get the whistle?
How did you get the whistle, Tony?
I had this with the book that my father gave us,
Oh, wait.
and I had it all. It was all into with the pictures and all.
Okay. Oh, come on, Susan. You're the woman behind the man.
Sit
Come
right
on.
here.
Okay.
I want you to listen to me.
What do you think about our conversation here, Tony? What do you think about this so
Oh,
far?
I think this is wonderful.
I'm
Pleasure
so,
meeting.
It brings
Unbelievable.
back great memories, and
That's what it's all about.
I'm glad something is still alive
Yes.
from the past, particularly that film. This area,
They didn't change this at all.
that fence is
Looks
still
the same,
here.
this fence.
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
It's incredible seeing, and you know, it's amazing how many people come here every day and don't know this.
They don't know this,
They're
Tony.
walking
Tony, they
the
have no
line.
idea.
See, that's the thing that the new people in Hoboken,
They need to know
they
this.
got to know.
They should know this.
They got to know what Hoboken it
Yes.
stood for with
Yes.
that picture.
Yes.
You know, this
The
town,
involvement.
yeah, this
Yes.
town, the way even the way it looks now. I mean, I love Hoboken,
Yes.
but it's so bohemian that nobody allows it to be it.
Yes. It could be
It's
better.
standing there. It demands artists, actors,
Definitely.
sculptors, writers.
More cultural.
People of that nature should really be occupying this town and making it really work.
Yes.
Theater. You've got the Mile Square
Yes.
Theater. Nothing comes out of this theater at all. We should have a season of works.
Correct.
Nobody even knows this theater exists.
He should run the theater, right, Tony?
Nobody knows it
That would be a
exists.
plus.
Craig Dudley should run a
That
theater
would be a plus.
in this town.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a great town, but
Yes.
it fails in its duty.
It does.
What
Big
it
time.
deserves
Who
to
do you
do.
blame for that?
Who do you blame, Craig? Who do you blame?
Go ahead, come on.
I'm going to say
Good
what
no hook.
maybe progress.
Okay, I wasn't going to go that far.
Sometimes it's not our most important product.
No.
You know,
Sometimes.
sometimes it's not.
Well, what we're trying to do with our show is to feature this. What happened? Oh, show the pictures.
The water bottle, my wife says, take it out of my pockets.
Okay. What about some of the? How much time do we have, Claudia? Okay. Let's get a look at some of these pictures. Some
Oh,
artifacts
boy.
that you brought. These treasures. Okay. Let's take a look at these
Well,
treasures.
here's the plaque. You
This
know
is
that.
a plaque. I want to read it. Hold it. Okay. Tony.
That's the plaque. Oh, upside
Tony
down.
Mike DiVincenzo, Mr. on the Waterfront,
Susie, grab this for me.
Hoboken, May 22nd, 1973.
Let me see that.
This
Can
is
I
the
see
plaque. Show it to Craig.
Sure.
What else do we have here?
Oh, I
This
want
bag
to.
of tricks, treasures. Okay.
I don't have the other one.
Whatever.
I'm looking
let's
for
see.
the other pictures.
Okay.
The life, here it is.
Yeah. Oh, Life magazine. Oh.
Wait a minute, hold it.
Let's take a look at that one.
Hold it now, wait on. Aspetta.
Okay. Aspetti, he said. Aspetta, the Italians.
Well, you know that one, right? You seen that one.
This is from Hoboken History, the magazine.
There it
Oh,
is. There's
Look
the
at
scene.
there it is, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. On the waterfront, okay? Hoboken history.
And we're sitting right across from
right
that scene.
here is where it all took place.
Yep.
Right over here. And let's see, what else do we got here? What is this document, Tony?
That's the Waterfront Commissioner.
Oh, ooh, the water.
That's a very.
Look at it's falling apart. Look at the paper. When they went to
You've
court.
got to stop plasticizing
See this?
You're going
I
to lose
have
it.
to, I have to.
when
Susie,
they went
where's
to
the other
court for what?
pictures?
Why?
Well, Marlon Brando even went against them. This is about Tony Mike.
All right, see, this is a document. Okay, bring that in. Hold on. You're going to say that on camera now. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Your wife is going to talk now. Look. Say,
that
go
was,
ahead.
That was nice of you.
Okay. Talk about this document. This is when they
That was
sued.
on the Waterfront Commissioner.
Okay.
When even Marlon Brando said, yes, I did play Mr. DiVincenzo.
Ah, he testified
He
for
testified
your father.
against all the mob.
Good for him. Wow. Wow.
This
now,
is-
let's see what this is. Okay. This is a police officer
They guarded my father's
guarding
house.
your father. Look, that's the cop who is protecting your father. He had to protect him.
Not willingly.
Not willingly? No. Okay.
They didn't like him.
Okay. No, they didn't like
Yes,
him.
father.
Here's another one.
That was
here.
my brother Vito driving.
Where's your father? Is that your father here?
Yep.
With the hat on, okay.
Yep.
We're going to show that later.
Here also.
Okay. Look at these great old photographs. This is
What
incredible.
year did this all come about?
That was 54. 54.
50s.
Well, that was the making of the film.
That was
but
the
when was
No.
your father active in this situation?
just a few years before.
2 years
52,
before.
Yeah.
52.
I see.
That's right.
What else do we have here? Look at this. Oh, I love these old newspaper clippings. Look.
No, this is at the pier, on the
Okay.
6th Street Pier.
It says Life on the Waterfront recounted. Here's an article about Tony Mike Sr. Okay. Oh, amazing, amazing stuff here. Let's see. Photograph? What does
No
that
more.
say?
That's Dad.
That's
You
Steve
see that. You
Cappiello.
see that.
Let's
That's when he
show
was
the- let's show the
presented.
audience.
That's when he was presented the plaque.
Receives award at Hoboken High School, Mayor Cappiello.
Yep.
Mayor Cappiello gave that
That's
award.
about all.
Okay. And,
White envelope.
okay. More, oh, Tony.
Tony Mike rules business work. You seen that.
Okay,
You
yes.
seen that.
Wonderful, wonderful, Tony. All right, let's put all these back. These are precious. Okay?
I'll take it.
These are your artifacts. These are
I'll
your
take 'em.
artifacts. Take these back, okay. So,
Thank you.
now I have a question for you, Tony.
Sure.
What if you get a call from Turner Classic Movies and they say, boy, Tony Mike, you should come on here and talk to Ben Mankiewicz.
Ben
you know,
Mankiewicz.
and say, hey, introduce this movie and talk about your father. Would you be willing?
Sure.
He's ready to do it.
If
Okay.
you're with me.
I'll be right there. I'll be right. What about Craig? Can
And
we
you,
bring
you
Craig?
also have
Definitely
criteria.
Definitely Craig.
Definitely
We'll
Craig.
go hand in hand.
He's our speaker.
Leave your wife home. Listen,
Oh, my
you know, Tony.
She's the speaker of the
Oh, I
family.
bet she is.
Okay.
You know the plaque you have here. Are you aware that it was issued on May the 22nd?
What year?
You got, you know whose birthday that is?
Your birthday.
Laurence Olivier.
Laurence Olivier's
May
birthday.
22nd.
Oh.
We gotta play that number today.
See that?
We have to
the
play that number
Play the
today.
number.
I did. I'm January 22nd.
Oh, well, we definitely have to play it now.
Derek Jacobi is October 22nd.
Derek Jacobi, he's
Number
friends.
22 is the highest number in
Yeah.
the Kabbalah, and a lot of good things happen as a result of it. And I can understand why they gave him that on the 22nd of May.
Unbelievable.
Now, before any other word is said on the
May
show,
22nd,
before
73.
anybody says another word, I want to say thanks to my darling wife, Claudia.
Very nice.
Who's filming us right now.
Very nice, Claudia.
And without her love,
Hats
without,
off to you.
Without her support, this show would not exist, okay? She made me a contender. Okay?
There you go.
I had a dream.
There you go.
I had a dream, Tony, to have a television show. For years, it went nowhere until I met Claudia. She believed in my dreams. I say this to the world. You need to find people who believe in your dreams. There's your wife, your darling wife over there, believes in your dreams. She's so proud of you on TV right now. I can see
I
that.
hope so.
I'm proud because my wife, she's 100% love. Love is the answer. Love is important. We need a more
Definitely.
loving country.
Definitely.
We need a more loving
Should be
world.
more lovingly.
More love in this world. And that's why the romance between Eva Marie Saint and Marlon Brando, the characters, was so important, right?
Yes.
In that movie.
Yes.
And they had a very key scene in this park, right? They had
They
a
did.
scene in
They
this
did.
park. Yes.
They did. They did.
What was that scene about, Craig?
They made it
You're
one-
the movie expert here.
In what
Talk
respect?
about the scene between Eva Marie Saint and Marlon Brando that took place here in this
Well,
park.
you
How did
know the
that?
scene with Carl
Go
Malden,
ahead.
which he walks across this park here from
Okay.
Church Street. You know, the church over there.
Yes.
He's coming out of the church.
Okay.
And then
OG.
Eli
OG.
Kazan continues that here. He because
Yes.
it was small, it was compact,
Yes.
it was easy to do. And he comes to this site, and he's having that confrontation that he should open up to Edie. Was the character Edie?
Yes.
That he knew
What
about
was
the
going on.
brother's death.
Yes.
From that first scene.
Yes.
It's really a dynamic opening scene. I mean, a very powerful moment. And that's one thing I always find about literature, I find about acting, that you have to hit an audience right away. Grab them.
like it.
Don't bore them for 25
No,
minutes
no.
and then give them gold. They're gone. They're left. Unless you have great substance within it that is intensifying these people's, I want to know more. I want to know more. I
Keep
want
them
to know
there.
more.
Keep them interested.
Yes.
But also, was a scene here earlier with Eva Marie Saint, which they come
and
from
they're up there.
and they're walking over
Yes,
here.
yes.
And that's why
That's
maybe he picks
before.
up the glove.
Yes.
The glove.
I don't think that was in the script.
Improvised. They improvised that.
Probably
He
did.
picked it up and put it
Probably
on.
did.
Improvised.
Yes.
That was
That's
it.
right.
Yes, yes. But Craig, I have to ask you a very important
I
question.
didn't remember that.
Okay. Listen to this now. Tony, I'm going to ask him a question. Since we're talking about love scenes in the park, okay, Craig, how many flirtations have you had in this park? Have you been a naughty boy?
Outside of the birds.
Outside of the birds.
Outside of the birds and squirrels.
Squirrels.
The
Can't leave them
squirrels
out.
love me.
It's like me.
I tell you, they, for some reason or other, they take one half of my salad, and I don't know why. You know, I came here one day and I couldn't. I said, I'm not going to feed them anymore. And I look down and I see this little table with 4 squirrels around it with a candelabra in the middle. I mean, they're standing there waiting.
Is he ready for Broadway? This
I
guy?
think so.
He's ready. He's ready.
He's on his way.
Feed the squirrels. I was living in Jersey City, near what is it? The Lincoln Park, near that area.
Yeah.
And I used every time I went in there, I had to bring nuts. Those squirrels, I mean, they were more friendly to me than anybody.
Yes.
The biggest place there is
They
Washington
don't talk
Square
back
Park.
to you, that's for sure.
So my flirtation.
Your flirtations. Go
They're
ahead.
so squirrely.
How many times did you fall in love today, Craig?
At this moment now, I'm
None.
I'm lost. I'm lucky if a toad comes up to me now.
Now, before we're out of time, Tony, the time flew so quickly. I want to say one thing. One more controversy about the movie, which you told me, which I didn't know, was that Frank Sinatra was originally considered for the lead role. I mean, this is Hoboken, everybody. This is Frank Sinatra's town, right? Everybody knows Sinatra grew up in Hoboken, okay? That he was originally offered that role. Do you think, could you imagine Sinatra in that instead of Brando? What would you say? Sinatra versus Brando for that part?
No, I don't know.
No, huh?
I don't know. I do like Sinatra, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But as far as him in that role,
that wasn't
it's
him.
not cut off for him.
That wasn't him. That was.
No, they made a good choice with Brando.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
You had to have
Brando
a
was
presence.
Yeah.
You had to have a presence. I think with Sinatra would have had to have fought for that presence. And it would have taken a lot of time and effort for somebody to actually believe this man is going to stand up to Rod Steiger. I don't think I would buy it. I don't think I could. I don't think audiences would have bought
I think
it.
maybe if
you
it was
had
a-
to have a presence. And that quirkiness that he had,
I'm gonna say.
that fearful thing in the beginning where he gives in to the mob, you have to see that development. That's why it was such a brilliant performance.
Yeah.
You can see in increments.
Yeah, they couldn't get anybody
the
else to play that.
characterization building up to where I am going to testify. I'm not going to take it anymore. I just don't think I could possibly have bought Sinatra.
I want to ask Tony. Tony,
If it was a musical, maybe. Sing
yes.
a couple.
Tony, if Hollywood comes calling for you, what would you say?
I'll be right there.
He's ready for Hollywood. You are, man. You are raring to go. You're,
That didn't influence you to want to be an actor?
Yeah,
After you
that's a
went to
good
the
question.
no.
Yes.
I'm an actor in my own way.
I see.
Ah, yes. He's an actor every day. Listen to his
There
wife.
she is.
Okay.
That's your agent.
That's my agent.
Oh my
You
goodness.
took the words right out of my mouth. Without her, I don't
She
do
tells you
anything.
what to do.
Yes.
Any other movies? Favorite movies?
Oh
Favorite
boy,
movies?
I
What
don't
other
know.
favorite movies
Jeez,
do you have
there's so
besides
many.
On the Waterfront?
There's so
like-
many. I did like The Godfather, I'll be
You did.
honest with you.
Okay.
I liked Brando playing
Yeah,
in that. I liked them
okay.
all playing in that.
Okay.
I'm a Western man.
You like Western?
I like my Western movies.
Okay.
I like my Gene Autry. I like my Cassidy.
Okay, all right.
Well, you're really going way back.
I'm
there.
going back a little bit.
I evolved out of that, Tony. When I was a kid, I did like Western.
Yes.
In particular, those ones you mentioned, the Hopalong Cassidy,
Yes, the
Gene
oldies.
Autry, those kinds of things, and I bought into them a lot. And then as time went on, I don't know, the Western things and military movies left
Military
me.
iffy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. We're wrapping it up, and this is like final reflections on our dialogue here. What do you think of this conversation?
I gotta thank you and your missus.
Tell the world
And
about
my friend that we just
Craig,
met.
okay.
And of course, my wife being here.
the meaning of your father.
It's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And my father was,
Yes.
like you said, he's seeing it, watching it.
He's
hearing
watching it down here. Okay.
And he would appreciate it very, very, very much. And we can only thank you for it. And God bless you.
We thank you, and it took us a couple of years to get this together. And I want to thank Jimmy Farina, the city
not
clerk,
coming.
for not coming. No. Jimmy's a great guy. Wait a minute.
Oh no, I won't take it away from
He
him.
wanted this.
No.
He probably Jimmy must have got busy. You know, he's working.
Busy.
He's the city clerk, okay, so he's
Yeah,
very
he's probably
busy
busy,
guy.
yeah.
But he was helping push this along and encouraging this, okay. So let's shout out to Jimmy.
Okay, Jimmy.
Farina, the city clerk of
Jimmy,
Hoboken.
we're still friends,
We're
Jimmy.
still friends. Tony, Mike,
We're still
DiVincenzo.
We're still friends.
Speaking out, true stories of On the Waterfront, amazing true stories of this movie, which never gets old.
Oh, by the way, I must say
go ahead.
something.
Go ahead.
There was no implication with Brando and Eva Marie Saint as far as my father was concerned.
Oh yeah?
My father didn't have any girlfriend in that picture.
No mistresses, no mistress. Oh, okay.
Not that I know of.
He's off the hook. He's off the hook.
I don't want the people to get the wrong impression of it.
Okay.
To see that movie.
Okay.
Well, that's going to be in the film, even if it didn't exist.
Yeah, sure.
You have to have a
Yeah.
romantic aspect to
Well,
it.
there was a very good romantic scene.
It was a wonderful.
You know,
Okay.
That
We
and
wanna
they
thank-
couldn't get two, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They
go ahead.
couldn't get any two people together.
At first we couldn't get you on the show. Now we can't. You won't stop. He's talking. He wants to talk.
No,
more and
because
more.
it's an
See
interesting
that?
thing.
You got to get on Broadway and talk about this.
I'm
This
so
should be a
happy.
one-man show. This
I'm
should
so
be,
happy.
Yeah, I'm really surprised
you
you're
should
not
give
on
lectures about
A&E
this.
with the talk shows.
You
on
could
these.
be on
They've
this.
run on the Waterfront many
course.
times, and they do have people who talk.
Well, maybe-
and converse about.
Well,
it.
maybe you'll encourage me a little
Well, you're
bit
the
more.
legacy of that movie.
You'll be
Yeah.
his agent.
His wife would go after me.
Okay.
No.
Let's say goodnight now. Thank you so much.
Good night,
to our
God bless.
Audience, and thank you so much,
And
Tony,
thank
for
you.
being our guest. Okay, you're a good man. We love you, and thank you so much. Okay.
Tony,
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yes.
God bless you.
Okay.
And the missus?
Yes. Thank you.